A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a year marked by intense anti-government protests, Kenya is witnessing a resurgence of civil unrest reminiscent of the pro-democracy movements of the past. The recent demonstrations, which have turned deadly, are ignited by a tragic event from last month, the death of blogger Albert Ojwang while in police custody. As thousands take to the streets demanding justice and accountability, the echoes of the historic Saba Saba protests from 1990 resonate strongly in the hearts and minds of the Kenyan populace. On July 7, 2025, the nation marked the 35th anniversary of the Saba Saba protests, a significant event in Kenya's struggle for democracy. Back in 1990, citizens rallied against the authoritarian regime of then-President Daniel Arap Moi, calling for the establishment of a multi-party political system. The term Saba Saba translates to 7-7 in Kiswahili, symbolizing the date of this pivotal moment in Kenyan history. This year's protests saw police deploying heavy-handed tactics, including the use of water cannons, tear gas, and live ammunition, resulting in the tragic deaths of at least 11 individuals nationwide. Reports from the ground indicate that police fired upon advancing crowds in areas like Kangemi, a suburb of Nairobi, where at least 2 individuals succumbed to gunshot wounds. Eyewitness accounts describe chaotic scenes as demonstrators clashed with law enforcement, highlighting the rising tensions between the government and its citizens. The protests, which initially began in June 2024 in response to tax hikes, have since evolved into a broader movement addressing critical issues such as corruption, police brutality, and the mysterious disappearances of government critics. Activists argue that the death of Ojwang, a 31-year-old educator and blogger, has galvanized public sentiment against the state, prompting widespread calls for reform and accountability. As the unrest unfolds, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR, has raised concerns about the deployment of unmarked police officers and the involvement of criminal gangs during the protests. Witnesses have reported seeing hooded individuals in plain clothes using excessive force against demonstrators, further exacerbating fears about police misconduct. Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen has labeled the protests as terrorism disguised as dissent, emphasizing the government's commitment to maintaining order and protecting property. However, many citizens view the government's response as an attempt to stifle legitimate grievances and suppress the voices of the oppressed. As protests spread to various towns across the country, including Nyeri, Embu, and Nakuru, the government has implemented measures to restrict movement and maintain control over the situation. Major roads into Nairobi have been blocked, and schools and businesses have closed in anticipation of further unrest. The historical significance of July 7th cannot be understated, as it serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who fought for democracy in Kenya. The 1990 Saba Saba protests ultimately led to the first multi-party elections in over 2 decades, a milestone that many Kenyans feel is now under threat. As the current protests continue, the question remains, will the voices of the people be heard, or will the cycle of violence and repression persist? The Kenyan populace, emboldened by their history, remains determined to fight for their rights and demand justice for those who have suffered under the weight of an oppressive regime. In conclusion, the year of deadly protests in Kenya reflects a broader struggle for democracy and accountability, fueled by the tragic loss of lives and the indomitable spirit of a people yearning for change. As the world watches, the resilience of the Kenyan citizens in their quest for justice and reform will undoubtedly shape the future of the nation. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.